Hi everybody, welcome to part 3 of Black Friday attacks. We got a big one. It's groove time. This is all groove, all night. We got part 1, we got part 2, part 3, probably part 4. Who knows how far we're going to get before all this is going. This is a big box. That's a big box. I don't even know if this is going to be a one-time segment. This sucker might be broken in half too, depending on how many are in here and how long it takes to do this unboxing. So let's dive into it, shall we? We're going to get this bad boy opened up and see what the folks over at Groove had to send me this time around. That's a lot of titles. Interesting. Okay. I don't think I want to count these in advance. I don't want to set any kind of expectation. So we're going to dive right in and just stroll through them. Up first and foremost, a hit from last year on 4K here. No slipcover. That's okay. I had mixed feelings about this film. Overall, I thought it was very well made when I saw it in the theater. But it was long, and it was only intermittently engaging for me. Performance was pretty great, though. So, got a great price on the Black Friday sale, so I thought I'd pick it up to be able to give it another shot, and that is the 4K of Oppenheimer. So, yeah, a little bit late to the game. I know when this thing first came out, there was quite a lot of demand for it, and all these sites and stores kept selling out. And I was running into YouTubers who were talking about that, and I kept trying to, like, hey, comment section, over here, look, go to Groove. Groove's got them in stock there. They're going to be the only people that actually do. And they were readily available there. This being a Universal picture and Groove being run and owned by Universal, go straight to the source for it. You know, don't worry about Amazon or Best Buy at the time or Walmart or Target or anybody else. Boom, go, pick it up. And there it is. So, I don't know when I'll get around to rewatching this. It's a lengthy movie, and I'm sure at some point the fancy will strike me and I can go ahead and revisit that title. Number 2, Blind Buy. Also a big hit from last year, and something I never got around to watching. Wasn't overly interested in watching it. Reviews were fair to good, I would say, overall. Just something I didn't have a whole lot of interest in. So I probably would not have done this had it not been for the great price that I got. Every now and then, thanks to Groove, when the price is right, I'll bite. And that would be the 4K of Super Mario. Is that the Super Mario Brothers movie? Yes, it is. The Super Mario Brothers movie. Not just Super Mario Brothers. So this will be a first watch for me at one point when I get around to it. And we are blurry again. There we go. Focus, focus, focus. We'll see. We will see. Next up, a Blu-ray of a movie I intended to see this year when it came out to theaters. Had heard nothing but great things about it. But unfortunately, its theatrical window was really brief. Otherwise, I would have jumped on it. Starring Paul Giamatti, who is always great. It is the Blu-ray of The Holdovers. And here's the kitty running through here. Maybe she'll stop and say hello. I don't think I'm acquainted with any of the rest of the cast off the top of my head, but trailers look great. Paul Giamatti's always a win. Sugar, hey, come here. You want to say hi to everybody? Huh? Here we go. Come here. Oh, say hi to the people. Look, everybody wants to say hi to Sugar. They're not here to see me. They're here to see you. Say hi. Look at all that cute. Look at it all. Huh? Here at Some Dumb Guy, we have some dumb kitties. Yeah. We make everybody smile. I get more viewers on my wildlife videos, on my little animal videos, than I do any of my physical media stuff. So you have to make your guest appearances. Yeah. Say hi. He's a good girl. Go on and play. Next up, from earlier this year, 4K with slipcover. Thank you very much. A movie I have very mixed feelings on, and so do apparently the viewing public, that there was no real obvious consensus on this film. And what a mess it ultimately became. Well filmed, well acted, well written as a whole. Cinematography, beautiful. Scenery, great. Too long, too disjointed, and unengaging as a result. First of a planned 4-part film series, which ultimately, cumulatively, I understand was supposed to be one long, excessive movie. Parts 1 and 2 filmed consecutively together and were intended to be released in the theater about 2 months apart. We're talking about Horizon, Chapter 1, written and directed by Kevin Costner, which this one here performed so poorly that Part 2 was removed completely from the theatrical release schedule. I haven't heard anything further from it. I had assumed that this being a... Who did put this? This is Universal, or is this Warner Brothers? Warner Brothers. Going to assume Part 2 ends up on, what is it, Max, their streaming service, which means I won't be watching it unless Warner Brothers decides to put out a physical release for it. But it's not going to bring in any real revenue that way. Sales of the discs might. The discs actually did sell physically pretty well. And this is one of the few titles, when I was watching it for pre-orders and shortly after, that the 4K was outpacing the Blu-ray by a considerable margin, until the price of this jumped up on Amazon, and then the Blu-ray skyrocketed and then overtook it. Yeah, Part 2 may get released on Max and become an obscure thing. May or may not see a physical release. Either way, it's going to be a financial disappointment, which is probably going to all but kill any chance of the rest of the story being told. Not a movie I would have purchased at a full price. This thing has been floating around on Amazon for about $28 for the longest time. I did quite a lot better than that, waiting until Black Friday and going through Groove. Would not have done it otherwise. And my biggest hesitation in buying this one throughout this whole period was, why? It's not going to be a story that's going to get finished. I mean, the odds are almost zero that it's going to get finished. You know, you've got these several different narratives that this is being told by, and I think maybe, I don't know, maybe they spend too much time on each individual storyline, and everything starts feeling further and further apart. Now, this seems to be a kind of story where all these individual storylines are going to slowly converge upon each other as the films progress, and maybe there's going to be some, big finale where all these come in together for the last part. Maybe that was the intention, I don't know. But it's just a real shame. Kevin Costner is a talented filmmaker, obviously a talented actor. He had assembled a great cast for this, and having some kind of vague idea about where it might have been going, it looks like, he was doing a good job with it. I don't know ultimately why this went wrong. People beg Hollywood and filmmakers in general to produce original productions, franchises, sequels, genre films that are overwhelming right now. This was a different direction, and it didn't grab audiences. I had to go, actually, to see this, I had to go twice, because I had such a horrific experience in the theater the first time. I got sat next to two gals who decided it was a good idea to have an ongoing conversation through the movie. These people weren't young. The lady sitting next to me was probably in her 70s, and then it turns out it was her daughter sitting next to her on the other side, in her 50s probably. And when I finally called her out on her, she was the only one I could hear talking. I called her out on it, and her response was, "I can talk to my mom if I want to." It's like, lady, you're in a movie theater, not in your living room. You want to watch movies and have conversations through them, watch them in the movie theater. She wouldn't shut up. She got an attitude and started snapping back at me constantly. So I went and go to talk to a manager, get him to be dealt with, so the rest of us weren't having to accommodate her needs. It took 10 minutes to get someone to come out and go in and talk to her, which of course she's, oh, we're only whispering. And then the guy comes back and tells me I can change seats if it's a problem. You know, like I'm the one that's actually causing the ruckus. So ultimately, I just ended up asking for a refund because by now I've missed over 10 minutes of the movie. And you can't miss 10 minutes of a film that you've never seen before and jump right back in like everything's okay. So anyway, I got refunded, went back the following week, made sure that it was okay with the staff because there's no way I was going to go in and re-watch the first hour and a half of this film again. So I took note of when I walked out. I just walked in there almost an hour and a half into it, sat down, picked up right before where I left off, and continued on. That might have affected my enjoyment of it. I don't know. As far as that goes, it could have left a sour taste in my mouth. We'll see. I'll get around to rewatching it again and see where I'm at. All right, moving on. Next up, movie I have not seen in a long time, but I have seen it, so no more blind buy this time. I don't remember when this thing came out. I'm trying to find the date. It looks like a 2013 film. Great cast. Josh Brolin, Ryan Gosling, Nick Nolte, the lovely Emma Stone, and Sean Penn in Blu-ray of Gangster Squad. Emma Stone looks absolutely stunning and delicious on this cover on both sides. Wow, 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 wow. Chicka bang bang. Oopsie, come back, Emma. I should start calling her Emily. She wants to be known as her name, Emily, but she couldn't be called Emily Stone when she first got into the industry because somebody was already registered as an actress with that name, so she took on Emma. Well, now that she's reached some degree of superstardom, she wants to actually go back to using her real name, so good luck with that, and hopefully we can all transition. But good movie. Looking forward to a revisit at some point. Next up, we have A Blind Buy. Starring, I think this is Richard Harris, if memory serves. Yes, and Vanessa Redgrave. I am overall a fan of this particular type of lore. This is the Blu-ray of Camelot. I have not seen this particular take on the Arthurian legend before. I'd seen this on Groove many times. It's come up on sale many times, and for whatever various reasons, I never got around to picking it up until now. But I always like to explore new takes on the Arthurian legend when I can. This one here, which I think was from the late 90s, part of me says, I've seen this. Part of me does not. And I'm a little bit confused. Starring Robin Williams, Cuba Gooding Jr., Annabelle Sciorra. I hope that's how to pronounce her name. May or may not come back to me as I'm watching it. But it's the Blu-ray of What Dreams May Come. I do remember the trailers. I remember being a fascinating premise. Just not 100% certain if I ever watched it or not. I think it was a disappointingly received movie, if I recall correctly, but I don't know for sure. Next up is a movie I saw when it was relatively new, from 1996, on Blu-ray here. This movie had a virtue of being the old original subversion of expectations, in the sense that the actor you think is likely to be the lead gets killed off very unceremoniously in the early parts of the film. We have Kurt Russell starring in Executive Decision, and that actor meeting an untimely demise was Steven Seagal. Probably the only time Steven Seagal has ever died on screen. I think my jaw dropped when that happened. It was like, holy crap, that was the last thing I would have expected. I thought Kurt Russell was going to be a side character in this film, not the lead. Like, I just catapulted him up to the top. Go and look at my time frame here. I'm not going to run through all this in one shot. I'll be keeping you too long, and part one of this series was already too long. I'd like to keep them a little bit tighter from here forward if I can. I think I'm going to do one or two more, and then we're going to call it quits for this episode. This is a blind buy. It's one of my how I randomly discover Asian cinema through the Groove website. Things that just pop up on their sales, and I buy them because they're really cost effective. Pick them up, give them a try, see what happens. This is a Blu-ray with a very beautiful matte and embossed slipcover from 2018, it looks like. So no names I recognize necessarily, but this is a period piece called The Great Battle. I know nothing about it. Did not read the synopsis. It doesn't matter. It says here, one fortress versus 200,000 soldiers. Wonder if it's going to be like an Alamo type kind of story. But big budget, looks like. Looks like some great sets, costumes, props. This could potentially be a nice, epic battle film. Let's see, a little review quotes here. Says, a rollicking hybrid of Seven Samurai, 300, and Lord of the Rings. Forgive me, I am still clearly sick, so my voice sounds like it's getting really raspy. I apologize. Hopefully it's coming through okay on your end. But yeah, this is one that looks like it could be a lot of fun and visually stimulating. Next up, Blu-ray. This will be the last one I do. I've seen most of this movie in the early 2000s. Interestingly enough, this is a chick flick. And it's something, I don't know why I found myself in a position where I was watching it before, almost 20 years ago. But I found myself actually enjoying it. It was a well-made film, a good drama. And when it popped up on this sale, I thought, you know what? I never got to see the rest of that. I was into it when I was watching it. Now it's time to give it another chance and watch it again. I don't know when this thing came out. Here we go, 1991. Starring Kathy Bates, Jessica Tandy. The only two names I'm seeing pop up, but it looks like I see Mary Louise Parker and Mary Stuart Masterson. That is the Blu-ray of Fried Green Tomatoes. I have never had a fried green tomato. Didn't know that was actually a thing, but apparently so, because there it is, and there it is. This is the extended version. Don't know if I had watched the extended version. So that should be 10 titles down. 10 more added to the pile. That is, oh dear, getting big. Yep, and still ways to go. That's part 3, everybody. We're all done. What do you think? Own any of them? Seen any of them? Buying any of them? What did you buy for your Black Friday sales? Are you as insane crazy as I am, or do you have your own level? Let me know. Comment below, down there. Make words happen. We like words. Join me on episode 4, if you will, and spread this insanity, okay? Thanks for joining me. Good night. Bye-bye.